All right, so when I get my kids started about our journey artwork, we look at working in our sketchbooks first. I post this on my board and have them copy it down and then come to the carpet. I don't have them fill out any of these columns yet. I just have them copy it down. All right, so now it's time for us to see, think, and wonder. We are observing the lienzo de Quaque Cholan, and I asked my kids just point blank, what do you see? And we touch upon how the artist has made details in the pathways and how the artist has used different symbols. And we even get into watching an explanation video about this artwork. I want them to really pay attention to how the lines show which direction the people are going, and the fact that it doesn't look like a perfect map you would use to find a place, but it is showing different locations of things, just not perfect like a driving map. All right, I also show them a map about the Spanish conquest of America, just to give some context of this artwork. Here are some examples that I created about a family day trip to the beach for a kite festival. I point out different details that I used and that they weren't in the order the trip was, as well as this one with a family vacation at a beach house. Two different points of view, but still showing a journey. All right, so day 2, we get our sketchbooks out and we make pathways and pictures, 2 columns with titles to prepare for the next step. All right, hello my amazing artists. So I have my ideas about trips or journeys that I've been on. I categorized them as exciting, recent, took a long time, and uncomfortable, and made notes about each different trip I was thinking about. I know that you and I have both had more adventures than 4, but I started with just 4 different examples. Remember, a trip, journey, or adventure is something that doesn't have to take a lot of time, a lot of money, or fancy transportation. It could even happen in your backyard. As an artist, now I'm going to choose one idea and start drawing some examples of how I would represent. Today, I think I am going to choose my day trip to Wilmington. It actually happened this past weekend. So I'm going to slide my notes to the side and bring my sketchbook in. Something that I may want to write or draw is what that trip had. I know that we had ice cream, so I can make that note. I'm gonna leave some space. We went to the aquarium. So I'm remembering some big things that were important to me that I need to make some visual symbols out of. Ice cream, aquarium. We saw the battleship. We ate lunch. And we saw, climbed stairs and saw buildings. So I have some different parts of my trip that were important to me. When I think about the ice cream, I think about how I actually got mine in a cup because I didn't want it to drip. I had a scoop, but then I had the waffle cone because I really like the taste of the waffle cone. It doesn't have to be a perfect drawing. This is just my sketchbook, it's practice. And so there was a spoon poking out of it, but I have my ice cream and my cone. I may even want to include the napkin. The aquarium, something that was a lot of fun is that we were seeing tropical fish, and that was important to me. So I may want to represent it with a fish, but maybe show that that fish was in a tank as opposed to one at the ocean. I also was in a hurricane simulation machine with my family members, and that was a lot of fun. My hair was growing everywhere. So maybe I want to remember that and how that was with my family. Again, this is a doodle. I can add more details later. The battleship, we didn't go up to it. Instead, we were at the river next to a fence. So Here's some water. And I may want to show that the battleship was far away. It had different parts. And cannons. And maybe some flags. Again, nothing has to be realistic or detailed. It is up to you. For lunch, I had a friend recommend a restaurant that was really yummy. It was sandwiches, but it was a Philly cheesesteak. And so I had the chopped meat. I'm gonna make textures, and then the bread, and I had a drink. And the stairs, I don't know if that was so important, so much as that we just walked around and saw buildings. So it could be that I need to let go of one of my ideas because my page is getting full. If I turn my sketchbook over or work on a different page, I can start thinking about how I want these things to happen. Where did my journey begin? Most people read from left to right, so I may want to have it that my journey started at my house. And again, this is still a doodle, and I took the highway. And thinking about the order of our trip, we actually did lunch first. So maybe I need to put something about lunch here. That might be the sandwich. And then come down and we did ice cream. So maybe I'll do, ice cream. These are just notes, planning the spaces. And we did the battleship. And all these things were really close together in the city. But then we had to drive way down here. And we went to the aquarium. The aquarium was by the beach. So maybe I want to show the ocean waves. And maybe show the building. And maybe there's a fish statue, which was there, or a sea turtle. Again, these are all notes. They're just doodles. But this is me planning details. This is me planning how can I get my details in a journey that represents what I was doing. I drove in a car, so I'm gonna have a road in my journey. Maybe your journey is different, but I hope this helps, and we'll get started on using our sketchbooks to plan our journey art. All right, so here's two different student examples. These are third grade works of students who had one part of their sketchbook have their planning from the first day, and then students who have their pathways and pictures above it. It worked really great to have this set up horizontally, one on top of the bottom of the other, so they could see it all in one glance as they get ready for their final drawing day. All right, hello my amazing artist. The day has come for us to take our ideas about our journeys and our sketches of symbols, which are pictures with a purpose, and our pathway plan, and put it into our drawing paper. The only thing that I'm going to do different today than what you'll be doing is I'm going to start with a Sharpie, not because I'm perfect or awesome, but because the camera picks up the marker better. This process you're going to do with a pencil and draw light until you get it right. Right is not perfect. Right is the way that you want it. So let's get started. When I think about my journey, I'm going to decide first if I want my paper to be vertical or if I want my paper to be horizontal. Today, I believe that I'm going to have mine horizontal. The first thing I'm going to start with is it's important to me to know that my journey started by us leaving our home. And I'm going to think about how my home is here. And it's an important part of my story, but it's not the most important part. It's important for me to share the activities that I did on my trip versus the road that I took to get there. One of the most important parts of my trip was the aquarium. So I went to the Wilmington Aquarium, and it had a kind of a square entrance. It's okay if you can draw 3D, but if you feel uncomfortable drawing 3D structures, that doesn't mean that you have to. I'm thinking about the rainforest garden that was around that area. There were bushes, beautiful flowers, all kinds of nature elements. The aquarium had a unique roof. So I'm thinking about how I can add details that make it unique. This is a greenhouse roof that also provided natural sunlight into the beautiful area that housed a family of otters. It was really fun for my family to see those otters. There's a sidewalk that led over to this fountain that I'm gonna draw a little larger. And it had tall and short fish statues with water spraying. It was really pretty. And it was a warm day that day, so I'm thankful for that. And I'm not coloring anything right now. I'm just drawing my shapes. My family even took like a family photo in front of that. But something that was important to us is that we got to see a family of otters. So I'm gonna draw the way I remember the otter. They were looking around and very playful, had a nose and a mouth. And there was a mom and a dad and 3 babies. I'm gonna leave that there. Okay, so I've got the aquarium. Next on my list that was important to me was when we left the house, we did lunch. And it was, I'm gonna draw my sandwich. I'm gonna think about a round shape. It was a sub sandwich, but it was a melty Philly cheesesteak. So I'm thinking about the melty ooey gooey cheese and how the meat was kind of chopped rough, so I can use a rough line to make those things. And I was kind of falling out of my bread. So there's my sandwich. And I'm gonna have my drink. It's okay that my cup got drawn a little bit of a different size than what I wanted. Of course, if I had my pencil, I would absolutely go back and change it. No problem. And yeah, I'm good with that. After our sandwiches, we went and we walked around and saw the battleship. Now the battleship is big. I have a lot of space in the middle of my paper. So I'm thinking, where do I want to put this battleship? If I made it small, it's going to appear like it maybe wasn't the most important part of my journey. I made the aquarium big. Maybe I'm going to choose to make the battleship medium. I mean, it's a battleship. I think it's going to take up some space. But I like to remember that our family chose not to go and visit on the battleship, but instead we chose to see it that day from the river. We were actually across the river and we viewed the battleship from a sidewalk, which I think was really neat that we could do that. I remember some flags here. And just remember that we're not coloring anything right now because I don't have colors. I'm not looking at those details yet. Instead, I'm remembering how there was a river. It's the Cape Fear River. And we were, my family and I, there was a fence here. And I'm drawing big, bold lines. And there was a sidewalk that we were walking on. And it's okay that this event happened far away from the aquarium. I'm just adding these details in the way that my memory wants to put them in my journey. So I've got that. Maybe there's some grass here. And the great thing about that grass is it can separate the aquarium from the battleship. Okay, so I got my battleship. I can even check some things off. I've got my aquarium. I didn't do the hurricane simulator, but that's okay. I wanted to show where the aquarium was versus what one of the activities was. I've got lunch. Now I need to do my ice cream. I'm excited about doing the ice cream because the name, the particular ice cream shop we went to is what was important. It's the one that my husband and I have visited before when we got married and with my brothers and sisters, but it's not one that we had taken our 4-year-old to yet because it's not close to our house. It's called Kilwins. And they make delicious waffle cones. So I'm going to put my cup of ice cream. Actually, it will probably end up being my son's ice cream because he got Superman ice cream. And so it has like the rainbow swirls, which is going to be really cool to color. And then I can include Where do I want to put the waffle cone? Maybe I'll also put my husband's ice cream because he got a waffle cone with ice cream. And mine was like a waffle cone with a cup. So I was kind of like a little bit of both. But the waffle cone had the waffle cone pattern. And they're really yummy. They smell so sweet. And sometimes you can get them and they're still a little warm. So that was something that was special for us. We liked that sweet treat. And maybe I can even show that the ice cream was starting to drip. And there's a spoon handle in here. So I can go back and add more details as I work, maybe parts of my house. And now I can make the decision if I want to have a pathway. I think that I do. I think I want it to be kind of fun and not like a real road, but more so just something to lead our eyes, which artists can do that with lines. So maybe I'll make this kind of swirly and curvy and let it lead our eyes around. And maybe I'll bring this one out and around. And this is how an artist uses lines to lead us through an artwork. And I'll leave that one here. And then I can bring this one here. I think I like that. And I may change it. I may make an adjustment where this road continues. But I think for now, I am definitely ready to begin thinking about color. I'm gonna let you guys choose your color and the way that you apply color to your drawing. It can be colored pencils only, crayons only, markers only. It could be a combination of these things. It could be something that I enjoy doing is I like to add colored pencil, crayon, or markers in my pictures, and in the background spaces to do watercolor. Filling in big spaces with watercolor is something that I enjoy because it's a little easier. And then getting into tiny details with my smaller drawing tools is something that I enjoy. All right, so something to think about as you get started is the size of your items, things that are important to you, make them big, fill up your paper, and decide if the road to getting there was important to you or the activities. There's no wrong answer, but make sure it's a journey that represents you. Happy making, artist. This is what I use on the board when my kids start working on their compositions, just to remember big things to think about, those big ideas when planning a composition. So this is an example of me adding color, but showing the kids that I'm using different art supplies. In some regions of this work, I specifically do only one medium, but I wanted to add color for them to see the process. So it was really important for me, for the kids to know that they had choices. And I put this chart up during the coloring days just to remind them what each of the media looked like and what it could look like in their artwork. And to remind them that they can combine, but to be aware that some tools may not go well with other tools like washable markers and watercolor paint.